Yo, what up? How you guys doing out there today? This is your boy Roto Beast. I'm here with my boy Jeremy. We're here to present you our NBA morning shoot around for Wednesday, February 27th. If you're new to this channel, please make sure and click the subscribe button below. This way you can watch all of our NBA, NFL, and MLB videos. If you haven't came and checked out our website here at dfscheatsheet.com, you're absolutely missing out. We have all the tools to help you compete with the pros day in and day out, including a complete optimizer, tons of content, daily Fanduel and Draftkings cash lineups. Hey, we're truly a one-stop shop for all your DFS needs. So make sure to come check out the site here at dfscheatsheet.com. So hey, what up, Jeremy? How you doing, bro?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Pretty good. Monster slate, 11 games today. Definitely not going to waste too much time, and I'm pretty much ready to jump into this slate. If you're ready to go, we can kind of just get going, man.
Yeah, I think we got this for like 2 more days, right? 3 games tomorrow, then 11 games again Friday. It's kind of the pattern in the NBA right now.
Yeah, I like the 6, 7 games every day. Those are the better weeks for me.
I
But
agree.
yeah, so real quick before we do jump into this video, if you guys don't mind, please take that quick second, click the like button down below for me. Helps me out. Really, really appreciate that from you guys. And yeah, man, let's just jump right into these games. So the first game we're gonna go with is gonna be the Houston Rockets going into Charlotte to face the Hornets. This game has a 228 over under, and Houston's favored by 5 in this one.
Very large slate, man. So there's going to be multiple spots to pay up for. James Harden, obviously the first one on our schedule here right at the first games in the first block at 4 o'clock, 7 Eastern. Do you want to pay 12,000 for Harden? Look, we know what the guy brings to the table. We know he's coming off a little bit of a hampering neck deal. I actually like Harden in this spot. I do like him in this spot. I think he's fine for tournaments. We know, look, him and Clint Capella and the high pick and roll, they absolutely smash teams. The only thing that I don't really like about this with them playing pick and roll basketball is Cody Zeller's back, and Cody Zeller, not the best center of basketball, but him and Kemba Walker, they play the pick and roll pretty well themselves. Clint Capella to me is the guy that I look at as probably the best play on this side of things at 7.7, price down 300 from the previous game they were in. And Capella didn't have the greatest game. And Atlanta played that game pretty tight. We had mentioned going into that we liked Capella, but we thought the price was a little bit up for that Atlanta game with Dedmon and Alex Len, kind of bigger guys. I love Capella in this spot, especially piggybacking off what Boogie Cousins just did. Centers have really had their way with Charlotte for the most part this season. Outside of that, Chris Paul, 8.7, price is getting up there a little bit too much where he's not a gimme price tag. The $8,000, that really felt like a bargain for Chris Paul. 8,700 now, sharing usage and splitting usage with James Harden. I don't know if I want to go there. I think that the 8,000 was the buy low opportunity. I think we're now in the par price range where he can get you value at that, but it's kind of really hard for him to get 6, 7, 8x on 8.7 with James Harden on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, on the Hornets side of things, there's a couple guys that we could definitely look at. Obviously, whenever we talk about the Hornets, we got to start with their best player in Kemba Walker. He gets a matchup at home. We've preached it over and over. Kemba Walker, he plays much better at home, so he's the first guy you got to start with at an under 9,000 price tag. Definitely think he is in play. You mentioned it the other day. Kemba Walker plays better when Cody Zeller is there. They have that pick and roll action. Same thing as Capella and Gordon. So I definitely think Kemba Walker is in play. Same thing with Cody Zeller. His price tag is definitely up compared to what it was, but the guy's just playing very, very well. I mean, he's a little bit too expensive for cash, in my opinion, but I think he's a really, really good GPP play, and I definitely think you could stack him with Kemba Walker and Cody Zeller. So that's really where I'm going to start with the Hornets. The two other guys that I'm just going to quickly mention, you got Nicholas Batum. Definitely been up and down, but he's a guy that can get a triple-double any night. 5.8 price tag. He's playing, 30 minutes a game. He's definitely in play in this up-tempo game going against Houston. Last guy I'll mention, Jeremy Lamb. They put him to a bench role, and he kind of responded well with it. Last game, he had a really good game. Even though he came off the bench, he was pretty much like the sixth man. Still played 30 minutes, and he got his 42 fantasy points. 42 fantasy points on a 5.9 price tag. I mean, you got to definitely like that. That's 7x basically. So I definitely think that Jeremy Lamb is a GPP play as well. But that's really where I'm at. It's Lamb, Nicholas Batum, Walker, Zeller, all GPP plays. And I'm ready to move on to the next game.
Yeah, for sure.
Next game we're gonna go with, it is gonna be the Minnesota Timberwolves going into Atlanta to face the Hawks. This game has a 237 over under, and Minnesota's favored by 4 in this one.
Right off the bat, I mean, you look at from a DVP standpoint, and this is juicy all across the board for Minnesota. You know, right off the bat, Okogie, he has a very, very, very good matchup. In fact, the best DVP matchup on the board. 4 shooting guards, Andrew Wiggins, another guy, top DVP matchup. The guy's a scorer. I think that both these guys are fine in tournaments. Wiggins obviously could be more towards a core play for a tournament play going against Atlanta. Plenty of shots will be there. And then the guy himself, Karl Anthony Towns, again, another guy that is above $11,000 that you've got to make the choice of where you're going to pay up for. And 11-2 for Towns going against Atlanta. I'm fine with that in tournaments. It's a very high over-under. The spread is very close. It's obviously a game we want to get exposure to. And then you have to look, obviously, at Derrick Rose and Tyus Jones. Tyus Jones, 5.3. He's not the $4,000 price tag he was the other night when he went for, I believe, 38 fantasy points. But Tyus Jones, if Jeff Teague is going to be out, Tyus Jones probably gets a start. They probably continue to bring Derrick Rose off the bench. Both these guys would be in play again if Teague is out. Dario Saric, that's the guy that I think is probably the under-the-radar tournament play here who can get lost on an 11-game slate. His price is 4.5. I don't know how many people realize the amount of minutes he's playing, that he's solidified his starting role. Saric is also another play who's fine in tournaments as well at 4.5. You could play all these Minnesota Timberwolves guys. This is a game you're going to need exposure to in some capacity because of the high over-under and the close spread and the lack of defense that will be played in this game.
Yeah, no, for sure. This is a game you're going to want to target. Just got to kind of pick the right spots. On the Hawk side of things, I'm going to start with Trae Young. I mean, if it wasn't for Luka Doncic, Trae Young probably would definitely be the rookie of the year this year. The guy's playing very, very well. Coming off a really, really good game against the Rockets. The guy's really starting to grow, and he's starting to kind of really do his thing, take the team on his back. I think he's a really good play. Probably a little bit more of a GPP play just because the price tag is up. But he is in play. Same thing with John Collins, 7.7. He hasn't had no monster games recently, but I mean, the guy is very active. He's a very, very good player. Him and Trae Young, like I said, both of them are priced up a little bit, but they're both still solid GPP plays in this very, very up-tempo game. Dwayne Dedmon, 6,000. He's a guy that I definitely think you consider. He's just been playing very, very well. He's got you, at least 26 fantasy points in 4 straight games with 2 games that are pretty much upside games. 36 is 6x on this price tag, and 44 is almost 9x on this price tag. 8x, almost 9x. So the guy's showing us some upside, giving us a solid floor. Could get a double any night. He is in play. The only other guy really on Atlanta that I will throw in there, Bazemore. The price tag is up a little bit. You mentioned it last game. It was funny because you told us we were going back and forth between, I think it was Bazemore. Who was it? Bazemore, Waiters, and there was one more guy that was in there. Bazemore. Oh, yeah, Levert. So we were going back and forth between all of them, and you were like, yeah, I think this is a letdown spot for Kent Bazemore. Sure enough, it was the letdown spot, so that was a good call. I'll give you credit on that. I definitely think that you could go back to the well on Kent Bazemore. So really for Atlanta, I mean, it's Dedmon, Collins, Young. You could throw in Bazemore, all more GPPs. I know you like this guy, Benbury. The minutes are kind of up and down for him at a 4,000 price tag, though. He's almost in the spot where you can kind of use him as a drop spot play. But
not today. Not today.
No.
The reason two things that I'll kind of clarify why I was the way I was on the previous slate, and that is Bazemore was going to start, and that was kind of the rumor he was going to start, and then there was the fact that
minutes limit, correct?
Well, Prince was ruled out, so that put Bazemore in, and then Herter was on a minutes limit. And the thing about Bazemore is he's been coming off the bench. And when he comes off the bench without Jeremy Lin, he's getting point guard run, and he was getting some of his fantasy value was coming out of him playing point guard, getting assists, etc. When he started, it put him back into that scorer's role, and it didn't match up very well. The Bimbre play was 100% because Herter was on a minutes limit, and Prince was out, and Bimbre was and there was blowout potential. So Bimbre was probably going to play 20, 22, 23 minutes at 3.8. I thought he was the best drop spot on the slate, and I think he scored 19 fantasy points. So he's 6x you as your drop spot, which is really what you're looking for out of a drop spot play.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, that's really all that I got for Atlanta. I'm ready to move on to the next game. Next game we're going to go with is going to be the Golden State Warriors going into Miami to face the Heat. This game has a 223 over-under, and Golden State's favored by 9 in this one.
So enter the most popular drop spot player of the day, which would be Kevin Looney at 3.5. DeMarcus Cousins has been ruled out for rest purposes. 3.5 for his starting Kevon Looney. I think it'll be extremely popular today, and it's probably going to be the default cash game drop spot play today. So we know what Looney does. There's a very large sample size. Boogie Cousins did not play until after the new year. We know that. So there's a very large sample size of Kevon Looney. The Warriors have also made it a point to say that Jordan Bell is available today. I know this is a game time decision with an illness, but at 3.7, Jordan Bell would be a pivot tournament dart off of Kevin Looney if you wanted to play him. You just don't know how much run Jordan Bell is going to get on any given day, if he gets any at all. I know Cousins is out, but even when Cousins was out, they didn't run Jordan Bell very much to begin with. So take that for what it's worth. And the guy that I think becomes with Cousins out, the guy that I think becomes interesting as like a secondary drop spot play if you want to pivot in tournaments would be Alfonso McKinney. We've played him in the past. We know the guy's got more than 20 minutes. He is a guy that will get usage and he will get run if when Boogie does go off the floor. So with Boogie out, with their rotation a little bit shorter, I can see McKinney getting a little extra run today. And so I would use that there. As far as everybody else, you have to look at Kevin Durant and you have to look at Steph Curry here. Their prices are so fair. 9.3. I know Curry, it was a narrative spot. I played the hell out of it against Charlotte. You know, his family was from there. He lived there, yada, yada, yada. He shot the ball a million times. He just didn't make any shots, and his price is now down to 9.3. I like Curry again today. I like this entire Golden State team. I think Draymond's in a good spot. Klay Thompson, we say it all the time, the guy's like a 30-point floor. He kind of just seems to go out every night and give you 5X. That's just kind of what Klay Thompson does. And if he gets hot, you know, you're going to get a big game from him. So I like all of the Warriors. I think that this is a very good – they need to go and start clicking. That's what the Warriors need to start doing. There's usage to be picked up. Kevin Durant, it's well documented what Kevin Durant's numbers are with DeMarcus Cousins on the floor and without DeMarcus Cousins on the floor. His rebounds go up. His assist rate goes up. Everything goes up without DeMarcus Cousins on the floor. So Durant at 9.6 feels like he's probably the best price player in this spot. But you have to look at Steph Curry at 9.3, and that's a juicy matchup. He's underpriced.
Yeah, for sure. On the Heat side of things, so I mean, this is something that we continue to talk about all year. The Heat have a logjam. Unfortunately, last game there was 4 guys that were ruled out. So we had a pickings. You know, we had some value. It was the Heat were the team that we really wanted to target. Today is looking like 3 of the 4 guys that were out last game are for sure going to play. Jones is probable. Winslow's probable. Magruder is expected back tonight, even though he's still questionable. The interesting news is James Johnson. If James Johnson is out, then I will continue to roll Kelly Olynyk. I know the price tag came up a little bit, but with Johnson out, they really have pretty much just a 3-man rotation at the big. They got Hassan Whiteside, Olynyk starting. They'll have Bam come in for Whiteside. Olynyk will stay in at the center. Then they'll rotate Whiteside back in. Bam will stay in for Olynyk. So they have a little 3-man little rotation going at the big man. So I definitely think if James Johnson is ruled out, then you can look at Kelly Olynyk again. But, I mean, the guard spots are tough now because you got all these guys coming back. One guy that's very interesting to me, Goran Dragic, 4.1. The price tag is very low. I mean, he's almost a job spot, play at this price tag. In an up-tempo game going against the Warriors, we're expecting him to be back in the starting lineup today. And like I said, first game, 15 minutes. Next game, 22 minutes. I could definitely see him getting to about 25 minutes today. And if that's the case, then I really, really like Dragic at a 4.1 price tag. I think that he would be the best play on the Miami Heat. You could possibly throw in Dwayne Wade. I mean, he's consistently getting high 20s, low 30s minutes. 6.2 is a fair price tag as a GPP play. But with all these guys coming back, the Miami Heat's not too interesting today.
I like Wade. I do like Wade.
I like Wade too. Wade, and then like I said, 4.1 for freaking Dragic is pretty cheap for sure.
And the other guy that you have to mention is Waiters. I know that for a while there, we were texting back and forth, and you're like, I hate playing Waiters. But again, it was what I thought it was. And if you look at his game log, he's the one guy that's consistently getting the minutes.
Right.
We know there's a logjam everywhere, but if you pop open game logs and look at game logs and what he's logging from a minute standpoint, his role in the rotation is the one guy who's consistently playing 30-plus minutes for them. So I like Waiters as well. 5.7 doesn't scare me at all. I think it's a great tournament play.
For sure. Moving on, next game we're going to go with is going to be the Washington Wizards going into Brooklyn to face the Nets. This game has a 238.5 over/under, and Brooklyn's favored by 5.5 in this one.
So the latest news for me that's interesting is Bradley Beal's little comment that he will die with a Wizards jersey on. So this guy obviously is trying to say he wants to stay there for his career. I think that's interesting. 9.9 price tag. I can't go there with Bradley Beal today. Bobby Portis at 7,000. I think is a really intriguing play. We like big guys. We like rebounders that go against Brooklyn. We've done it all year long. 7,000. I think this guy will be off people's radar at a $7,000 price tag. 35 is what you need. I don't think Bobby Portis would have any problem giving you 35 against Brooklyn. He can rebound. He can dish a little bit. We know he can shoot the three. So I like Portis. If he's starting in this role, I really like Portis a lot at 7,000. Outside of that, you have to mention Trevor Ariza at 6.5. This guy's price tag is not moving. He plays a ton of minutes. He knocks the three ball down. He's played really well in Washington. I like Trevor Ariza here as well. Outside of that, I'm not looking really beyond that.
Yeah, on the net side of things, hey, bro, don't judge me. I'm just going to make it quick and simple. D'Angelo Russell, Joe Harris, both are definitely in play. GPP plays. Karis LeVert, 6.4. Definitely think he's a great play. You could consider for cash games, and that's really where I'm at with the Nets. I like those three guys. I don't really like nobody else on the Nets.
Move on.
Cool. Next game we're going to go with, it's going to be the Chicago Bulls going into Memphis to face the Grizzlies. This game has a 216.5 over/under, and Memphis is favored by 3.5 in this one.
Yeah, I'm good.
No, you're good completely?
I mean, look, you have to see what's going to happen with Otto Porter and Chris Dunn. Obviously, some stuff opens up. Arcidiacono at 4.2, Wayne Selden at 3.8. If Chris Dunn is out, become fine tournament plays. Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot, he at 3.8, he played a ton of minutes, had 29 fantasy points. He got a start with Otto Porter being ruled out in the previous game. If he's going to start again at 3.8, I think he's a really good play as well for looking for salary savings. But I mean, look, this is a Bulls team that their best player right now is marketing at 9.4. I don't really want to go there. I didn't have a problem with 8.9 in a really good spot the other night, but 9.4, to me, I can't spend 9.4 on marketing in this spot. I just can't. I can't find a way to tell you that I can do that. Zach LaVine's price isn't moving. It's 8,000. He's fine in tournaments as well. But really, you're trying to figure out, whether you roster LaVine or not tonight is really dependent on the fact, in my opinion, does Otto Porter play? Does Chris Dunn play? If those guys are both out, obviously we know what happens with Zach LaVine and his usage. But there's other guys who are going to get, from a value standpoint, they're going to get a bump as well. And Arcidiacono and Wayne Selden and Luwawu-Cabarrot. So that's kind of where I'm at with the Bulls.
Yeah, man. On the Grizzlies side of things, shit, bro. I mean, we got some guys that are game time decisions, waiting on some news. Mike Conley, 7.8.
What is up with Avery Bradley, man? Like 3 times this year, the dude's been like damn near carted off, and then he comes back and plays.
Yeah, I have no idea. I liked Avery Bradley. He was a really good player, and this fucking dude.
But spare me the drama, bro. Like hop to the locker room or something. Like he's legit been carried off the floor at least 3 times. Like looking like he's got some career-ending injury, and then here he comes back and he falls out. I mean, it's like the Paul Pierce in the finals back in the day.
But he does it over and over, though.
Yeah, he did it legit 2 times with the Clippers, and then he just did it the other night where he's carried off the floor.
Right. So on the Grizzlies side of things, I mean, I think you can start with Mike Conley under 8,000. I think he is a really good play on this slate. Mike Conley does have some upside on that price tag, so I definitely start with him. Jonas Valanciunas, 8,000. The guy's playing very, very well. So, I mean, 8,000, the price tag is very high. For me personally, I'm not really going to be playing too much Valanciunas. I'm definitely going to throw him in a couple of GPPs just because we have liked bigs all year going against the Grizzlies. But I just don't like the price tag for a guy who's going to play 25 or 26 minutes. That's what's really scaring me. But he is in play. Mike Conley, Valanciunas are probably the main two guys you look at on the Grizzlies. Then the guy I'm going to look at, I'll give a quick shout out to our boy, the real Draftkings. My boy Hav, he put up a little article earlier today, and he has Joakim Noah as a sleeper pick tonight. Yvonne Rab is looking like he's not going to play. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of big guy minutes to go around. Jaren Jackson is already out. Joakim Noah is a guy that has been playing very, very well, this past couple weeks. So if Rab is ruled out, I definitely think that Joakim Noah is a sleeper pick. There's going to be some minutes to go around. And then, we can't forget that the Bulls is his team that he originally played for. This is kind of a little bit of a narrative or revenge game. You could kind of throw that in there with the fact he may get some extra run. I like Noah at a 5.7 price tag, but I'm not really looking at nobody else on the Grizzlies.
I don't think he's a sleeper pick, though. I don't think he's a sleeper pick. It's the narrative everybody knows is there. Ivan Rabb is doubtful. Everybody knows that Noah's been benefiting from Jaren Jackson Jr. being out, and so is Ivan Rabb. Now Ivan Rabb is out, so you've really got Joakim Noah. So I think it would be interesting to see. Bruno Caboclo, we know he's played a lot this year in spots. He's been a drop spot play that we've used. He's been a value play we've used. The guy's got upside of 30 fantasy points if he knocks threes down. It's interesting to see what's going to happen with bro. Can somebody out there make me a meme? I want somebody to make me a meme of Anthony Davis looking at Avery Bradley getting carried off and being like, yo, why can't I get carried off the floor? Because that's the biggest drama, baby, in the whole NBA, bro, is Anthony Davis. And that dude don't even get carried to the locker room like Avery Bradley does.
Why can't I get carried off?
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Bro, Anthony Davis goes to the locker room for breaking a fingernail. You know what I mean? Like, right. This dude's been carried off the floor, Paul Pierce style, 3 times, bro, and he's come back and played in the game. Like, Anthony, he's looking at this. He's watching Anthony Davis, and now he's watching Sports Center at the crib, and he's like, yo, how come that dude gets carried off? Trade me. I want out of here. My teammates don't like me. They won't carry me off the floor when I break a fingernail. Let's move on to the next game, man.
Yeah, next game we're going to go with is going to be the Portland Trail Blazers going into Boston to face the Celtics. This game has a 227.5 over under, and Boston's favored by 2.5 in this one.
Dame, this is an interesting spot for Dame, man. I think on an 11-game slate, he could be lost a little bit. We know Dame's a good basketball player, man. We know the guy's a baller. We know that. Nurkic is another guy at $8,000. This guy's price has been all the way up to the $9,500 price mark. I could be mistaken, but I think Nurkic even got up to $10,000 this season when he had a really hot stretch. So I think that those two guys are very interesting. Again, I'm going to give you CJ McCollum as a tournament play for the simple fact, just like the other night against Cleveland, I said this is a spot high over under, and the spread was a little closer than what we thought it should have been, and that was a CJ McCollum type game where the guy's going to go out and score you 30 points. I think he had 18 real points in the first half. I think he ended up with 28 points total overall. So this is a scoring spot again for McCollum. However, Boston obviously a little bit better defensively than Cleveland is, but Boston just got the doors blown off from last night on national TV. It is a second of a back-to-back. And with travel involved, albeit short travel. So those are really the 3 guys that I'll be looking at today. And then the 4th guy is Enes Kanter. Enes Kanter, man, I'm going to continue to load this guy up. He's in 2 of the 3 games. He's almost had a double-double. We know he's going to play between 20 and 22 minutes. He's going to come off the bench. But at least for Enes Kanter, we know what his defined role is now, right? When he was in New York, we had no idea what the hell his role is. And we've talked about it, you and I, before, off of the video, off the air. Enes Kanter is very close to Boban, man. Boban's like a 1.65 points per minute fantasy monster, and Enes Kanter is not far behind him. I mean, for the amount of minutes that Enes Kanter actually gets, the guy damn near gets you a double-double. You know, I mean, if he's going to get you 10 points, 10 rebounds tonight at 5.1, you have to love that. You know, he can get you 30 fantasy points and 6x in 20 to 25 minutes, which that's probably what his role is, and at least we know it's defined. So those are really the guys I'm looking at for Portland, and then, I'll let you talk about Boston.
Yeah, bro. On the Boston side of things, I mean, I'm gonna keep it real. Boston, for me, they're almost a complete fade for 2 reasons. First reason, they're gonna be on the second end of a back-to-back. So, I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to get blown out, they're going to lose, but that we're going to see a little bit of sluggishness. That's one thing that I'm kind of worried about. Second thing is Boston. It is one of those teams. They're deep. They legitimately have a solid backup at every single position, and that kind of takes away from the starters. The guys that really are guaranteed their minutes, it's really just Kyrie Irving. He's really the guy that gets his minutes for sure. All the other guys, I mean, they either play high 20s, low 30s. There's never really you're not getting a guy that's really going to play 35, 36 minutes. And then especially on the second end of a back-to-back. So, I mean, for me, Celtics, I think Kyrie Irving is a solid GPP play. Marcus Morris, I'll continue to play him. 5,000. I mean, it's just a very good price tag. He gives us a solid floor. I mean, and he has some upside. I mean, he got us at least 22 fantasy points in 4 of the past 5 games, 5 of the past 6. On a 5,000 price tag, we need 25. So it's right there. So I honestly think that Morris is probably the guy that I'll consider. That's more just price based with a little bit of Kyrie. Al Horford has been playing very well, but going against Nurkic, it's not a very good matchup. Nurkic is a big guy, solid defender. So, honestly, it's Kyrie, Morris, and, that's really where I'm at on Boston.
You have to mention Jason Tatum, bro. I think that's the one guy that's in play here is Jason Tatum at 6.7. His price is down $300, and this is a spot he can attack against Al-Farouq Aminu and Maurice Harkless. I like this spot for Jason Tatum. He's probably the one guy I like. Interestingly enough, the comments after last night's game by Marcus Smart are that this team is not together. He said that this is the most untogether Boston team he's been a part of. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out tonight. For our boy, the real Draft King, talking about narratives. That's the narrative in this one for me is what happens with Boston tonight, coming off the second of a back-to-back quick turnaround with Marcus Smart really saying last night that this is the most untogether Boston team he's been a part of.
Yeah, for sure. And just quickly on the Jason Tatum thing, he actually had a really good game earlier this year already against Portland. Played 34 minutes, got you 40 fantasy points. So just quickly wanted to mention that as well. We're on the Jason Tatum subject, but I'm
one of my favorite power forward plays today is Jason Tatum.
For sure. Moving on, next game we're going to go with it is going to be the Indiana Pacers going into Dallas to face the Mavericks. This game has a 216 over/under, and Indiana is favored by 1 in this one.
I saw news. Is there news that Miles Turner might not play today? Have you seen that? Because I've seen some news that and I don't see we have him. I mean, we've got pretty up-to-date news too. So have you heard anything?
I personally haven't heard anything about that.
Okay. I don't know that it matters, but 7.3 for Miles Turner. If he's back getting a full complement of minutes, 7.3 against we just saw what you could have literally stacked the Dallas and Clipper game. We just saw what Harrell did. Similar players, in my opinion, but Miles Turner is obviously a little bit taller than Harrell is. But 7.3, if you're going to play, you don't want to take the drop spot play with Looney at the center spot. I think you can look at a Miles Turner at 7.3 as a good tournament play here. I just think that the matchup is well for him. I'm not really looking at anybody here. If you want to look at a narrative, obviously Wesley Matthews is going back to Dallas at 4.4. You can look at that, but for me, I'm not really interested in Indiana, to be honest with you. It's a close game. I get it. It's a higher over/under at 216. I get it, but there's just not a lot of exposure I want to get. You talk about guys who are coming back, and you've got a logjam of people. This is another team who's got a logjam of people as well. You could look at Kyle O'Quinn with Sabonis out if you want, but you want to play Kyle O'Quinn at 3.9, or you want to play a starting Kevon Looney at 3.5. So, if you want to look at a pivot, I guess O'Quinn is okay, but no, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm not really interested in this game as a whole, to be honest with you. The Maverick side of things, I mean, there's 3 guys I think that you could consider. They're all GPP plays. First, you start with Luka Doncic, 9,800. Yes, very, very expensive price tag. But the guy's a big man playing the point guard spot. It's incredible. The guy's very good, very skillful. Triple-double upside any night. Going to start with Doncic, 9.8. Definitely think he's probably the best play by far on the Mavericks. Then you could throw in a Tim Hardaway at 5.7 or Dwight Powell, who's been playing very, very well at 6,000. Both of those guys are GPP plays, but, I mean, that's about as far as I'm going to go with the Mavericks.
I will mention that I could be wrong here, but I believe this is the game Doncic at Indiana played 22 or 23 or 24 minutes and was ejected for kicking the basketball.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
I remember him getting ejected. I don't remember who it was against, to be honest.
Yeah, and then you have to mention Dwight Powell here. You just have to, because if you look at his game.
Pal.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear if you mentioned Powell. I mean,
Yeah,
he's playing out of his mind.
Yeah, no, my three guys are Doncic, Powell, and Hardaway.
We're moving on.
Cool. Next game we're going with is going to be the Detroit Pistons going into San Antonio to face the Spurs. This game has a 221 over-under, and San Antonio is favored by 4 in this one.
I mean, if there's a guy who's under the radar this season, it's Andre Drummond. I mean, he had a stretch of double-doubles that was like, I don't have it in front of me, but I want to say it was 20-plus games of double-doubles this season. Look, he put up 60 on 2 nights ago, and I don't think anybody owned him. Drummond is – I'm sorry?
Who was that, Drummond?
Drummond.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't hear who you said.
Drummond's a very under the radar player. And I think a lot of it has to do with it's consistent. There's not a ton of upside as far as him hitting 60 and going 6 or 7X is not like he's not destroying his price tag night in and night out, but his overall performance is very steady. Minutes are steady. His points per game and rebounds are steady. You look at his last 5 games, 23.4 and 17 is what he's averaging, and 35.4 minutes at a 10.5 price tag. We know that LaMarcus Aldridge is not a true center. The guy's played power forward his entire life outside of what he's doing in San Antonio. I think Andre Drummond is a fine tournament play, under the radar, low-owned guy that you could load up today with all the upside that you need, and it would be a completely different way of constructing a lineup. Blake Griffin at 8.9. It's interesting because he's really been 88 to 9,500 all year long. I'm not into Blake Griffin on this slate. Reggie Jackson playing really well as of late. 5.5. His price tag hasn't really moved. That's as far as I can go for you here. I'm not a guy who likes to load up Detroit as a whole. I think they've got 2 or 3 guys on any given night that you could play, and I just mentioned who they are.
Yeah, for sure. On the San Antonio side of things, man, San Antonio, they're struggling right now. They had a couple really bad losses in a row. They're like 7 or 8 seed in the West right now. They really –
This is a get-right spot, though. You know what I mean? I mentioned before that they had the rodeo trip, which was, I believe, 8-game road trip. They struggled at the end of it, and they're home. You sleep in your own bed, things change.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, I mean, with talking about that, 2 guys you got to start with, the best 2 players on the Spurs. Both are very fair price tagged at 8.4. LaMarcus Aldridge, DeMar DeRozan. I like both of those guys a lot. Definitely think they're by far the best 2 plays on Spurs. After them 2, another guy I'm going to be looking at is going to be Rudy Gay, 5,900. When Rudy Gay plays minutes, he performs. It's all about minutes with Rudy Gay. That's one thing we know. So I definitely think he is in play, 5.9. And like you said, a get-right spot. I think that the starters are going to play their minutes for the most part. So Aldridge, Gay, DeRozan. You could possibly look at Brian Forbes 3.9 as a drop spot play. But with Derek White back, there's a little bit more bodies going around. So it's going to take away from Forbes a little bit. It's going to take away from the Patty Mills and the Bellinellis a little bit with White back. So, I mean, the main 3 guys I'm looking at for the Spurs is Aldridge, Rudy Gay, DeMar DeRozan. That's really where I'm at personally.
DeMar DeRozan had 53.9 fantasy points last month in Detroit.
Right. Good spot for him. Moving on, next game we're going to go with, it is going to be the Los Angeles Clippers going into Utah to face the Jazz. This game has a 228 over under. And Utah's favored by 9.5 in this one.
I'm just not excited about this.
No,
I'm not. I mean, Gallinari is going to give you 25. Kind of is. You could kind of just say, look, I can get 25 of Gallinari if I want to load him up against a tough defensive Utah team. Here's the thing, right? I look at the Clippers and I look at the logjam they have and the amount of minutes they play everybody, right? They've got a really thick rotation and everybody gets about 20 to 25 minutes. Landry Shamet, 27.4 of his last 5 games. Beverly, 29.2. Gallinari, 25.8. Harrell, 25. Lou Williams, 28. I mean, they play a lot of, 20, 18 for Alexander and JaMychal Green. They play a lot of guys, right? So whenever we always say it all the time, minutes equal opportunity, opportunity equals value. So there's not a lot of minutes that, nobody's getting a 30-plus minute load here. And this is a tough defensive team who we saw go into Golden State, and I believe the score was 39-38 at halftime in that game. So, I'm not interested.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, honestly, for me, I think this whole game is pretty much a stay away. I mean, is that fair?
Yeah.
I mean, a couple guys.
I can't give you an argument that somebody in this game is in a better spot than somebody in the 10 other games.
Right. I mean, on the Jazz, you can look at the obvious guys that we always look at. It could be a Rudy Gay, but
I wouldn't go as far as – I'm just reading I just popped open the comments real quick to look and see what people were talking about while you were going to talk. And Gobert almost a lock. I'm not sure why that would be at 9.7 with the other centers on the slate.
Gobert, for me, Gobert is strictly a GPP play, overpriced, especially on Fanduel for sure. So I mean, Gobert, GPP play. Ricky Rubio, GPP play. Joe Ingles, Donovan Mitchell, GPP plays. All four of those guys are in play. Possibly throw in a Jay Crowder, 5,000. And yeah, I'm ready to move on. Not excited at all on this game. Move on. Next game we're going to go with is going to be the Milwaukee Bucks going into Sacramento to face the Kings. This game has a 235 over-under. Milwaukee's favored by 5.5.
Yeah, look, I love this game, man. I think that I love this game for three reasons. I'll give you three. It's late. It's late, and by default, I'm a big believer you've got to have somebody and some exposure to the last games on the slate. This is a 10 o'clock spot. There's going to be a lot of attention on the New Orleans Laker game with some narrative there with Anthony, even though he's not going to play a lot, but Anthony Davis being in LA, LeBron James, the Stephen A. Smith comments, etc. There's a lot of stuff around that game. I think this game goes under own. I think this ends up being a really good basketball game against a team I like a lot in the Kings. And there's guys here to play. I mean, there's going to be a ton of points scored here. I think Eric Bledsoe, there's a nice little narrative with him. I love to load guys up who dud because recency bias just throws people right off of them. So I don't mind going with Eric Bledsoe here in tournaments. I don't mind Chris Middleton in tournaments. I don't mind Malcolm Brogdon in tournaments. Obviously, if Giannis is going to play, you have to like him quite a bit. And Mirotic, look, the news about Mirotic is not that he didn't have the greatest game in the world the other night. The news on Mirotic is that his minutes are ticking up and his minutes restriction is being extended. So we know what kind of player Mirotic is. I have no problem with exposure to Milwaukee in tournaments tonight at all. I think there's some good plays here. I think this game is going to be a really good basketball game. The Kings are very underrated. We know that, and trying to make a playoff push. So I think this will be a fun game. I think there'll be a lot of excitement in it. I would definitely tell you that if Giannis is going to play in this game, he's one of my favorite pay-up spots because I think this game can really score. There could be a lot of points scored in this game.
Yeah, no, for sure. This is going to be a pretty fun game. So last game we had Giannis out, and we went after all the value, and it didn't really work out for us. Today we got Giannis looking like he's going to be back. It's going to kind of put the other guys back in their role. So yeah, I definitely think Giannis is a good play. On the Sacramento side of things, though, Willie Cauley-Stein 5.5. I think he's a good play. GPP wise, not cash games. You don't think so?
Well, I love it.
Oh, you love it? Oh, yeah. See, we've talked about it. Brooklyn, Chicago, and the Bucks. We've liked big guys against them all year. 5.5, Cauley-Stein. I think he's probably the best play on the Kings, just based on price and opportunity. I really like Cauley-Stein. And then you could go, I'm going to be honest with you. You can pretty much play all five of the Kings starters. De'Aaron Fox has been playing well. Buddy Hield's been on fire, shooting the ball very well. Harrison Barnes, he's a guy that's going to just get you 25 to 30 fantasy points every single night, 5.4. He's a fair price tag. The one guy that's interesting, Marvin Bagley, he's priced up 8,000. It's kind of like, do I really want to pay 8,000? But the minutes are there. He's got you at least 44 fantasy points in 4 of the past 5 games. He's in that starting lineup, so I think just him going into the starting lineup really even solidifies his minutes even more. I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to take the easy route, but I legitimately think all 5 of the Kings starters are in play. That's really it for me. You can, off the bench, the one guy I would consider, you could look at Bojan Bogdanovic. This guy's a 6th man. They like this guy a lot. They play him. He usually plays high 20s, low 30 minutes. He's in play as well, but that's really where I'm at with the Kings, man. All 5 starters in play. Throw in Bogdanovich off the bench and kind of move on.
Just to update, not to go back, but just to update, Otto Porter and Chris Dunn now probable tonight for Chicago. So, that we kind of talked about that,
that hurts
already, but just to update it.
Hurts Levine a little bit more than anything.
Right.
Moving on, last game we're going to finish with is going to be the New Orleans Pelicans going into Los Angeles to face the Lakers. This game has a 240.5 over under, and the Lakers are favored by 5 in this one.
This is bad for the NBA. This right here is bad for the NBA. Drew Holiday, 9.2. If he's going to play 34 minutes tonight, I want a lot of exposure to Drew Holiday in this game. The Lakers don't play any defense at all. And I think that a lot of these Pelicans, what else do they have to play for, right? What else do they have to play for besides go out and try and spoil guys trying to make the playoffs like the Lakers? If I can bank, I just can't bank on it. You can't bank on, look, he's played 32, 34 minutes in his last 2 games. After the fact that they came out and said that they were going to reduce his load because of the fact that they were going to do load management with him and Anthony Davis, right? So the most interesting play here, I know there's a narrative of Julius Randle, but I would be remiss if I don't mention Anthony Davis at 8.7. I don't know how much lower this guy's price is going to go on Fanduel. I'm not sure what his price is on DraftKings, but he's borderline a must play at 8.7, even at 20 minutes, where he put up 45 fantasy points, I believe, the other night in the 20 minutes he played. Look, does he play a little extra tonight? I don't know. I can't tell you that. In tournaments, load the guy up at 8.7 and take a shot, because when are you going to play Anthony Davis at this price tag outside of the rest of the season, right? I mean, we know that the guy's a 12,000 plus player. Julius Randle, we know the narrative there. Going back to LA, 8.1. The guy playing extremely well. Had a monster game his last time out. Didn't play so well against the Lakers. We know that. Elfrid Payton at 6.2. Look, these are all tournament plays. That's all I can tell you. These guys, I'm fine if you want to load any of these guys up in tournaments, but that's what they are. Understand that it's almost impossible outside of Julius Randle to load up any of the other guys in cash, because you don't know what you're going to get as far as minutes go.
Yeah, no, I get you. It's ugly right now. Even on the Lakers side of things, man, you got LeBron questioning if people are playing hard, if they want to be there, all this stuff. It's a mess right now in LA.
I didn't see that. Did he say that?
Yeah, he was like saying that, we all got a job to do, and if you don't.
Yeah, but they asked him about distractions, is what I saw. They said, do you think people are still distracted? And his reply was, I'm not a guy who's going to stick up for LeBron a lot. I'm a Laker fan, not a LeBron fan. But in his defense, the question was kind of a loaded question. Like, do you think you guys are struggling because your teammates are still distracted? And his response was, if you're still distracted after all the stuff that went down, you're in the wrong spot. This is not the franchise for you.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
So I don't think it was like him calling out his teammates. I think it was kind of like, are you
still taking a shot?
Question. Maybe. I thought it was more him taking a shot at the press. Like, are you that stupid that you think guys are still distracted by trade rumors when the trade deadline's passed?
Yeah, no, I get you. So on the Lakers side of things, I mean, there's some guys we could look at. Everybody's starting to get healthy. They're starting to get in a little bit of a logjam as well. Obviously, 12,000 for LeBron James, up-tempo game. I think he's a really good player. I think he's a guy that you definitely could consider paying up for tonight. He has a lot of pressure on his shoulders to perform right now. There's a lot of people like, you said you activated playoff LeBron, so why are we not seeing it kind of thing? LeBron James, start with him for the Lakers. 12,000, could see him in play for sure. Then you got, Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram. To me, those are second and third best players on this team. Both under 7,000. Both are playing a ton of minutes. Have some upside, give you solid floors. Like both of those guys as well. Outside of that, I mean, JaVale McGee, Bullock, both of those guys are interesting plays for GPPs because the minutes are there sometimes. The minutes are not there sometimes, especially JaVale McGee. Bullock has been getting some consistent run, but JaVale McGee kind of been up and down. Someday he starts, someday he doesn't. 5 5.5 price tag. I mean, all you need from JaVale McGee, 27 for him to hit value. He is a GPP play. He's going to be matched up against Anthony Davis early in the game. So one thing that scared me, he could possibly get into some foul trouble. But I mean, I'm going to be honest with the Lakers. I mean, the three guys I'm looking at, it's going to be LeBron, Kuzma, Ingram. I'm not going to play anybody really outside of those guys. I mean, do you like anybody else on the Lakers?
Bro, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I want to stack this game so bad because of the fact that what if, right? What if Anthony Davis plays 30 minutes? What if Drew Holiday plays 30-plus minutes? What if New Orleans and their coaching staff get caught up in the narrative of this game, this spot? What if, right? I want to stack this game. I think people are going to avoid Anthony Davis like the plague. I think people will look to play Julius Randle because it's a narrative. I think that people – look, LeBron James, maybe he's not healthy. Maybe he's not 100% healthy, but he's still putting up triple-double numbers, man. And this is a game where LeBron James – it's cliche to say, but playoff mode, LeBron James has been activated. I think that if anything, you have to like LeBron James moving forward, period, for the simple fact that maybe these other guys aren't mature yet. Maybe they're not. But we know Ingram and Kuzma have been playing well, and we know that LeBron is gonna ball his ass off to try to make a playoff push and drag this team in the playoffs because LeBron has not missed the playoffs.
Right, bro. He hasn't missed the finals in how long? You know what I mean?
Right. So I mean, look, I want to stack this game so bad because I think that people might be on LeBron and maybe Kuzma and Ingram, but I don't see how people are really looking. Do you think people are looking at Anthony Davis like, oh, yeah, let me load up Anthony Davis at 8.7? I think people are scared like 20 minutes is all I'm going to get out of Anthony Davis.
Well, I
want to stack this game so bad.
I personally think 20 minutes is all you're going to get out of Anthony Davis. That's just kind of what they're going to do with him. I mean, there's no way around it. That's what they're doing. But I mean, we know Anthony Davis, like you said, 12, 13,000, dollar player, 70 fantasy point upside. So even 20 minutes on an 8.7 price tag, if he has a good game, he can still put up 50 fantasy points, on this price tag for sure.
One guy I did not mention that I have to mention here is Okafor, right? I think that Okafor is also worth exposure tonight, for the simple fact that if it does play out like it has with 20 minutes for Anthony Davis, we know Okafor is going to get some run. We know how bad the Lakers are against defending the center position and rebounding. You have to mention Okafor as well. And I think that if I was kind of ranking guys outside of Kevon Looney at that center spot, value-wise, I would put him before I put a Kyle O'Quinn with Sabonis being out, right? I think at $4,000 for Okafor going against the Lakers, I think it's a very fair price tag for tournament exposure.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, hey, man, I think that's about all we got for you guys. 11 games wrapped up. We'll be back today. I'm going to be doing my core play in about an hour and a half, and we will be back today with our NBA Live segment an hour before lock, updating you on any news, anything just coming in right before lock. We're going to have it there, news, lineup.
Bro, let me ask you one question before we get off. I totally forgot. Are you playing Rondo at 4.3?
Throw him in a couple of GPPs, but that's really about it for me.
So you mentioned Dragic, right, at 4.1?
Yeah, I'd rather go with Dragic personally.
Are you really?
Yeah, he's back in the starting lineup now. Probably going to play about 25 minutes. Rondo just hasn't been playing the minutes, bro. I mean, so Rondo's going to come off the bench, $200 more expensive, and he's played 15, 28, 19 minutes are all over the place. Where I feel Dragic is going to give me 25 minutes for sure in the very up-tempo game against the Warriors. I like Dragic more personally.
I'm going to tell you guys right now, Reggie Bullock, Rajon Rondo, play both those guys in tournaments tonight.
Yeah, for sure. So, hey, that's all we got. 11 games. Make sure you have those notifications turned on. This way you don't miss any of our videos that we do later on today or any time in general. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this channel. Make sure to click the like button down below. Check out the website, dfscheatsheet.com. All the tools to help you compete with the pros day in and day out. Thank you guys very much for checking out this video. Thank you very much, Jeremy, for helping me out. And, hey, good luck on your guys' contest tonight, all right? Peace out.